because I think people were just like winning so quick.
The other team finishes their pickles once they touch their bike. If they win, or if they win the pickle joust, your team can start defending, but they cannot attack. But someone can like get in goal.
Three. Cheers to it. Cheers. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Like one of my buddies just one night in the middle of December was like, hey, let's go check out bike polo in the parking garage where they play. So I went a second time a couple nights later and I did play, and we got arrested by the police that night, and we got banished from the parking garage forever. And we all got, the only time I've ever been to like real jail was bike polo. But after that I was like, you know what? If people are gonna get arrested playing the sport and keep playing, there must be something to it.
We're like somewhere in between hockey and basketball in that it's the finesse of basketball, but a little bit of the physicality of hockey. But when you're on a bike, you're basically the same size as everybody else.
When you go onto the polo court, you've got a goal at either end, and hopefully if you've got a nice court, you've got walls around the court so the ball won't go out. And you know, there's about 10 feet of space behind each goal, and you know, it's kind of set up like a hockey court. You drop the ball in the middle, and you have two people race for the ball and start play from there. It's a 3 versus 3 game. There's no set goalie. You know, everybody has mallets and a bike, obviously, and you're trying to get the ball into the opponent's goal and keep it out of your own. And for tournament play, bike polo is played to 5 points. This is another rule that I'm not personally very happy with. Having a score cap forces teams to play more defensively because they're trying to avoid the other team getting to 5 points rather than just trying to score goals and outscore the other team.
Well, I was living in Portland, Oregon in the time, I guess it was 2002. I moved out there, and the Bicycle Messengers had a pretty fun bicycle polo scene. It was a lot of fun. It was the first time that I really had ever found a game, like a competitive sport that I would play, that I could like see marked improvement and developing skills and be able to score goals and go out there and really develop a style of play. And I became enamored with it.
Oh, you're good today.
Southeast Bike Polo gave me, next to my son, my prized possession. And this guy's the guy who made it all happen. It's my best friend, Sean Bowman, and he kept me in the game. Dynasty, number one. Yeah.
So shady.
Internationally known, locally respected. To tell you how great a community polo is. Me and Sean Bowman were downtown Raleigh one day, and for 30 minutes we went to Subway to get a sandwich, had our bikes locked up. We come back and somebody had chopped the lock and stole my polo bike. I was really down on my luck, had just lost my job, hadn't been living here long, and it was looking real glim, you know, for my polo career. So Sean Bowman went around to a couple tournaments that I couldn't go to because I didn't have a bike and didn't have the money even if I did have a bike. Went around and told everybody, hey, you guys know Chris, you know that he loves polo. I'm trying to raise money and get him a bike. And one day Sean comes over to the house and he tells me, hey, I'm going over to Michelle's house, they're having pizza tonight, we're gonna drink and hang out. And I walk in and get a little emotional talking about it. They had Dodici leaning up against the wall, and I walked in and it was like, everybody's just staring at me, and I think Michelle's like, that's you. And it took everything I had not to cry. You want to see the bike they got me? In my opinion, one of the sexiest bikes in the country.
I didn't.
Whereas, as you will see in this tournament, as the games get on, you'll see some shady stuff, but that's all right because I like it. I like it shady and nasty.
Play style of a specific city would probably be fairly correlated to how early polo immigrated to that city, because in the earlier days of the game, it was a lot different. It was really like on your honor, bike on bike, mallet on mallet, ball on ball. Like it was an aggressive activity. Like finesse didn't exist, skills didn't exist. So it was much more. The idea of somebody sitting back in the goal was almost like laughable, because yes, some people do rocket shots across the court, but that wasn't likely. It was mostly, it was everyone engaged.
The polo scene in Richmond is growing. We've got 5 new players this year. VCU just started a hardcourt bike polo club, and they're adding more and more players. So it's really exciting to get these new players into the sport. We like to play like a flowing passing game, a lot of offense.
Richmond was one of the earlier dots, on the East Coast. And so it's been known for, in terms of per capita and size of city, like a lot of the smaller cities have a lot of highly engaged active polo now, but back then it was a rarity that a city of this size.
In Lexington, there are a lot of girls that played, and girls that were really, really good, and so it was very inspiring for me to look at them going up against dudes that were 6'4" and like still crushing it.
One of my most favorite things is when big fellas over here start to come at you and they want to pull a shoulder on you, and you can knock them down just as easy as they want to knock you over.
In the rules, shoulder checking is allowed, and so there is some contact on the court. Shoulder to shoulder only, just generally kind of keep it safer. Most times you won't see people, knocking people off their bikes or anything. It'll just be to kind of bump someone off the ball or something like that.
There's a movement amongst polo enthusiasts to really create the legitimacy of polo as a sport, with aspirations such as maybe AAU or maybe one day returning to the Olympics. Things like, that puts polo on the level of sports such as ultimate frisbee, where it's like really trying to take this game and legitimize it as a recreation.
I really wanted the oven mitt one to work really bad. I think in my heart I still wanted to. I've just been practicing with oven mitts.
I mean, when James Naismith tossed a peach hoop on the wall and started playing basketball, I'm sure he played around with it before. He was like, oh, it's going to be 5-on-5, and this is a dribble and this is a double dribble pass.
Until you finish, until the player that is doing this returns to their bike, you can't move. So you really gotta wanna eat quick and drink quick.
Great that it works it out through a community of people worldwide who get to vote on it, and get to create what the future of the sport is.
There's a few new rules that have made the game a little safer and made it flow a little bit more, like a little less interference and people getting in the way of each other, and a little more passing and stuff, which is good to see. And there's going to be some new rules this year that should help continue along that path.
I think it's important to maintain that balance of, setting it up for the future, remembering how awesome it was for us when we found it and it wasn't set up for us. So, at the time it was like an alternative concept in that you couldn't go buy bicycle polo equipment. You couldn't get a mallet without making a mallet. And so at that time it was still in the first generation where you would get a golf club and cut the end of the golf club off and affix a wooden block, a peg, maybe like the foot of an old chair from an alley or something, and that would be your mallet. Now there's actually companies manufacturing bicycle polo equipment designed for a sport that 15 years ago was just an after-work activity for people all across the country. The thing with bike polo in any city is it only works if people get involved and create extra equipment and put in the work to create the course and make it happen, because it's not built in. It's not easy. You have to make it happen. So you have to have people willing to not just come out and play the game, but come out on other days and set up the court, or just organize and coordinate and make sure that everyone's not going to get kicked out. And so we were able to be that for Richmond bicycle polo until it grew upon itself that enough people that learned about it outside of our bike club would shepherd it and take it to the level when it became like the highly evolved, skilled set of players that are respected around the world that it is today.
How's it? Great game. Is this the only tournament?